Making sure it's live. Oh, great. We're live. Yay. Everyone share the live. and,
Oh, yes. Let me, because I can't do it on here, but let me get on my phone.
and I'm like,
That's exactly what I'm doing.
getting everybody going.
So thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. I mean, do we have, comments? Let me move, because I always miss the comments to see if
Yeah.
anybody comes in.
Not yet. We don't. So I'm like, I'm sharing it so that people know we're live. And then, oh, I see it right here. Oh,
Anybody
okay.
comes in.
It doesn't give me the option to share it. What? Oh, we got 3 people here, 5 people, 4 people. But I cannot share my live.
You can't share it on yours?
No, it won't let me share it.
On your page?
Switch it.
Got it. Found it to allow me to share it. You have to go to a certain part of it, certain point.
Go to a different profile.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, headmistress, what is the topics? What are we talking about?
Basically, we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. I think like this week has definitely brought in a lot of questions for a lot of people as far as magical ethics, but then also the type of spells, things like that are happening. But a lot of people are also trying to connect to their ancestors. So I want to touch base on a little bit of everything. And I want people to bring their questions as well, because that's the point, is for everyone to bring their question and let's discuss everyone's questions. Um, but right now, I want to touch base on something that I think we've all been feeling for the most part, where it feels like a lot of the ancestors that are coming through, a lot of the ancestors that are, coming to talk to those who actually are able to connect with them are a lot older than the ones that they originally started with.
Mm-hmm.
So the energy and the dynamic has definitely changed in what's appearing to everyone now, especially after a tumultuous year for many people. I feel like a lot of the older, like these high energy ancestors and guides and spirits are coming through, because now they're here for a time of healing, but they're also here for a different type of knowledge to give people. So what are you guys feeling about this? Am I the only one that's feeling this, or?
Oh no, because I had reading just yesterday or day before where we were talking about her ancestors and her guides and the people that were around her were like from way back in her line. It wasn't just like immediate grandma, grandpa type of stuff. So yeah, I agree. Because I didn't know, of course I don't know who they are, but you can feel it that they're from way back.
Yeah, I can definitely say I know it's the same. Shishi, you and I have talked about this like earlier this year. I even experienced it, with some of my older ancestors coming to me and kind of guiding me and even still being here with me now, and telling me certain things, what's going on, what's to come, what to look out for, things like that. So I definitely say they are definitely here. And I mean, as far as like these are ancestors that I have never met a day in my life, know nothing about, but they show up to me clear as day, and I can draw them out, and say, okay, this is this person, this is who he said, he's from this side or she's from this side of the family, and they have predated back to, over 300 years old, or even further back. So, yeah, I definitely agree.
I think we're seeing a big shift. 2020 has brought in a lot of new energy, and maybe not so much new energy. I think what's really happening is a lot of us aren't as distracted. So we're connecting with spirits that maybe have always been there, but we haven't heard. Because I've noticed this year there's a lot more clarity coming in as far as dreams
Mhm.
and things like that. There's a lot more vision that's coming in. And some of it, I feel like I've seen it before, but I didn't take it in. So I feel like a lot of things that we're really coming across, especially as educators, people who are wanting to share knowledge, is that we're opening up a little bit more, and even our gifts or abilities that we have are starting to grow. And we can help people with that because we're not the only ones. There's so many people that are expanding right now. It's crazy. The energy is really, it's a great time. It feels like it's chaotic, but honestly, there's a lot of transformation that's coming through that I think is going to be good in the end for us. Our hopes.
What about you, Frank, Sherwin? What are you guys feeling?
I defer to
Mainly
Sherwin.
more so on the dream side than anything. Dreams are becoming very vivid. A whole lot happening when it comes to dreams, mainly.
I think, like Lynn and I have talked, and we've talked about how the year 2020 is like actually for seeing clearly, seeing things that definitely weren't noticed before, but then also for going back and seeing things that maybe you could have enhanced or made better as well. So I think like this whole year uh, has been an awakening for everyone, even if they don't know they're having an awakening, which is something that I've enjoyed. So you're right, Tanya. People are like, oh my God, it's chaotic. There's all this energy, but yet they come out of it a stronger individual, but also seeing things that they didn't realize they were going to see. Like a lot of people's spiritual gifts are awakening or just skyrocketing out of nowhere. And they're like, I'm seeing shadows and I'm seeing all these things now. And I was not seeing that just, last year or a few months ago. So I think although it's been a tumultuous and sad year for many and stressful for pretty much everyone, it's also been a very good year as far as enlightening and expanding who we are spiritually.
I can agree.
Absolutely. At the beginning of 2020, my ancestor altar was one shelf. One shelf. It was a really nice shelf with a couple of pictures, some personal trinkets from my grandmother. My ancestor altar now is a wall. I have 3 or 4 shelves that have spaced out. So a lot of friends who have crossed over, a lot of people who have stepped forward and told me that they want to work with me has expanded it. And a lot of people are seeing this. And I think, especially even with spirit, of course, with the voodoo, even with the Loa, I don't know about my brother, but I'm hearing them. And I know Alyssa too is hearing more from those particular spirits that are coming in, and they're giving more messages. So the enlightenment is there. I think for a lot of us, though, the problem is going to be, can you hear it and deciphering the messages? Some of us are making it a little bit more difficult than what it needs to be. It could literally be, lose weight, get in shape this year. People are thinking, oh my God, I got to go to, Peru and smoke some weed on the mountain and talk to a goat. I think it's great that you're getting the visions, but I think too that we have to realize that we have to sometimes simplify. Sometimes with the ancestors, it could be as simple as don't eat pork, and you're going to see your life change, or change your diet or do this and that. So it's interesting to see what other people are going to feel and see about it, because I know it's been really wild with me. I overthink things a lot.
She said, "Don't eat pork."
And or go to Peru and
We gotta
go to Peru. And why specifically Peru? That's the question. Why specifically Peru?
Peru.
What's so crazy? When I first started my journey. Oh, I'm sorry, Lynna.
I said, and what were you smoking that made you talk to a goat?
Look, now listen to me now. When I first started this journey, everybody was going to Peru because there were the shamans, the medicine men were there.
Those are where my people from.
Yeah, and everybody took you into the hills, and I was gonna go on a retreat, and the guy told me, he goes, I'm gonna take you to the top of the mountain, and I'm gonna give you this special tea, and then I'm gonna leave you there overnight, and you're gonna see, whatever the spirits want you to see. And I remember thinking, oh, that's gonna be cool. At the time, it seemed like it was gonna be cool. And then I read an article where the people were coming down the mountain, and they were all, passing out, knocking themselves in the head with rocks because they got some bad food. So it was one of those things where you want to be enlightened, but you got to figure out the simple way to do it. Now, with certain traditions, you got to go through the traditions, but that's what I remember. That's what I remember about Peru.
It's gonna be cool. And then I read an article.
I'm sorry, y'all. My phone is acting crazy. Let's just turn it off.
Oh, I mean, I have mine. Like I turn the volume off on mine, so I
This
can.
phone is possessed. I have no understanding as to why it just comes back on after I turn it off, and the volume just goes back up. I don't know.
You have a ghost in your machine, Frank. What's changed for you? What have you noticed for 2020? Like now that we're leaving it, now that like on its way out, unless it's something crazy, and we have a freaky 2020 and it repeats its damn self. What have you? What have you learned? And what have you seen?
Just a lot of conflict that's been kind of brimming on the horizon came to a head this year, and it's had its impacts in several communities on many levels, and it's just in some ways it's heart-wrenching, but in other ways it's absolutely inspiring. And this can be, but I mean, you can look at it on the level of the things you see in the news. You can look at it on the level of the renewed interest and the renewed commitment people are making to their spiritual development.
Mm-hmm. I think that it's true. Like this year has like brought a lot of people into, I mean, which we know, Frank, you know, working next to Sticks and Stones, it's like it's popped up, like it's pumped up. Everyone was looking for a way to connect, a way to have hope, but also a way to understand certain things. And so this year has brought all of that while people have been curious and searching, which I think is actually definitely a good thing. For some people, it may end up being a trend. For others, it's opened their way to the path that they're going to continue on or at least move forward on. So I think that's been a good thing, personally for me, 2020. I think that's been a nice thing. So anybody else notice anything for 2020? And guys, I want to thank you for all of those who joined us for the live. If you guys have questions, because we're here to answer questions, we're talking about the craft, we're talking about pretty much anything that you may have questions on for the Collegium. We want to talk and we want to touch base with you guys and, you know, have you guys get to know us. So, and maybe have you guys take my cat, who's ridiculous. I'm always pimping her out, but she's
I also noticed, you know, like even though, like you said, like with 2020 kind of being like, you know, chaotic, for those of us who are entrepreneurs, you know, it definitely was very, very beneficial to us, financially. I can definitely say like, not even from a financial standpoint, but even from a spiritual standpoint, as far as like growth for myself. I've seen a lot of things as far as like me being able to step up more into my power, using or being able to utilize different knowledges. Even with everybody knows that Sherwood is my godpapa. But certain things like that I've learned with him have kind of like been brought into the fold of me having to, you know, be used a lot more, or even going back into my tradition as being a shamanic woman, you know, having to utilize some of those things too. Like it's never forgotten. It's always things that you have to use, but you, I guess, in a way, don't remember like or forget that you have these things that you have to do. And then it comes back to remembrance that you have to use these things because that's the reason why you were there. That's the reason why you've gone through all these things and initiated in certain things so that you could be able to use these things to your best of your ability. And so for me, that was just something that, you know, I can just say, you know, that I've learned and I've also have been growing with and growing into. So that's just something that I can say. I don't know if everybody else agrees with that, but I can definitely say that was something I learned.
And that's great.
I've been seeing a lot dealing with healing and shadow work. A lot of people have been doing things that have to do with looking within themselves, doing a lot of inner work, facing traumas, things of that nature as well. A lot of that has came to the surface. People having to deal with stuff from years ago resurfacing in some shape, form, or fashion in their life.
Along with the healing, I think one of the things that, and it goes with the magical side as well. But 2020 has people have really shown their true colors. They have, and even though that's a negative thing, it allows us to use it in a positive way to cut out negative things from our lives that don't benefit us, that do harm us. We've seen sides of people like that were just unreal, unreal. And you would never think that those people would do that stuff. And it's like, is that something that I really want around me? You know, whether it be friends, family, coworkers, whatever, you know, is that something you want around your kids? Is that something you want around yourself? Do you want to be around those people? Do you want that negativity rubbing off on you? No. Then cut it off, you know?
It was definitely a big decision year. I think, like all around, it's normal that we all make decisions, grow. We say, okay, let's let go of the things that no longer serve us. But I think really for 2020, it was, what is it that you want in your life? How do you see your life going? And how do you fit into this vision of your life? And how do other people fit into this vision of your life? I feel like this year, for some people, it was much easier to let people go than it's been in the past. For sure. I think, Tanya and I have talked a lot of the things that I think did sadden a lot of people, a lot of relationships, like marriages and long-term relationships ended this year, more so because people were stepping into their own truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems like it was a very selfish year for many people, but I think it had to push people to realize, whether people agree with you or not, you have to live your truth. You have to live, for yourself in order to, like, if you're a healer, you have to live for yourself, heal for yourself, clear things out so then you can help heal other people as well. But it really required you to look at things on a deeper level than what we normally do. So I think personally, for me and my craft and my business and myself, that was a good thing. But I think everyone this year has definitely gone through shadow work. Everyone this year has definitely gone through healing.
Oh
If
yeah.
people walk out of 2020 and say it didn't affect them, or they didn't heal, then I don't know what they were doing for their 2020, because
I call bullshit.
it made you do it.
Right.
And I think that's important. But I also
Mhm.
think for me, 2020 allowed me to step into my craft a lot more and see things about myself that, as far as my craft is concerned, things that maybe I was a little hesitant to step into. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm moving with that. I'm doing it, stepping into my full self. So then I can be where and who I need to be for my future. So if anything, 2020 has helped me, at least on that aspect. So it was, like I said, a lot of negativity and chaos, but a lot of good came out of it too.
Oh, absolutely. And it not only separated people, but it also brought people closer together as well. You know, just depends on what side you look at it. Because here we all are, you know, and some of you guys I talk to on a daily basis. Whereas before I may have been too busy. Now I have time. So I feel like, you know, some relationships it's made stronger.
I think honestly, we had 2 months to slow down. We had 2 months to stay in our house, to educate ourselves, to pull out books, to exercise, to change things about ourselves that we may not have been completely happy with. A lot of people like me that are workaholics, I literally panicked at the beginning. I ain't gonna lie, because I was like, okay, what do people are staying in their pajamas all day and sleeping? What is that? I didn't know.
It's comfortable. That's what that is.
I mean, really, and I didn't rest. And now I wish I had. I see people that really took the time and they stopped working and they went outside more and they did things. And my sister tried to get me to go out and ride bikes and all that. I did. But it was one of those things where there was a lot of empty space that could have been filled with some good things. So some people that took advantage of it I think, are way ahead of the game. Some people like me that are coming towards the end of it that are exhausted because I didn't know how to relax and really take advantage of it. I'm struggling going into 2021. So I think, you know, wanting to be more educated, taking classes, doing a lot of things that I should have done, may have kind of threw me off a little bit because I didn't take full advantage of it. I don't know about you guys, but the people who know me know that I literally do not stop, and that's a problem. And I've noticed that with this year, that was a major problem. We literally shut down the world for 2 months, and my ass was still trying to find work.
Yeah,
So
we were traveling across the country and got back to the house, and it's like, why the hell is everybody trying to steal toilet paper? We didn't even know what was going on. We were in the truck
Right.
driving across country, and all
yeah,
of
we came out the mountains completely confused. We were like, okay, what's going on in the world? Why is everybody hoarding toilet paper? What is? We were so confused.
I was a little frustrated. Like, so I didn't get why everybody was still in toilet paper too. I was like, are we going in bunker mode? And then I was thinking, like, I saw this lady, she had like whole 52 rolls of toilet paper. I was like, but you only got one butt. Like, how many kids you have at home? Do you have 52 husbands? What's happening? Like, why are there 52 rolls of toilet paper in your cart? But when you went to the grocery store, everybody went into panic mode. They thought it was like Armageddon, end of the world. I ended up getting some canned food, but I'm like, man, I got not the best canned foods. I got some potatoes and something else. But now that it wasn't so bad and people are in panic, now I have all this damn canned food, and I'm like,
Listen to me though, and for everybody listening to this, in 2021, you need to start working on your gardens. You need to start growing your own food. There is something that is going to be coming in where food will be at a shortage. Now, we already saw how the toilet paper thing went. We might be in there fighting over a banana and a piece of potato. If you have any type of land, go ahead and start working on your food source now. I think anything this year has taught us is that there are going to be issues with people that will not follow rules. There are going to be issues with government that will not sanction things and structure it. So at some point, you have to make sure your family and your environment is conducive for your survival. And I know that sounds really out there and deep, but this year showed me so much about this world that we live in.
it's not out there, and because if anything, this year, like you said, has shown that we need to be more self-sufficient. Because when there was no food or people were panicking, but if you have your own garden, then you're gonna always have food. Now, I know one of my friends was like, I went and got chickens, and now I invested in this farmer, and I'm buying they're putting in portions to like help support and feed this cow. So when the cow gets slaughtered, they get a certain portion of it according to how much they put in, things like that. And so honestly, a lot of the European countries have been telling, a lot of their economists have been telling people, you need to learn to grow your own food, and you probably need to start learning to take on livestock. And I'm like, I don't know about the livestock, but I'll definitely grow my own food, because chickens smell bad.
how to can. Canning is so fun. It really is.
Livestock isn't that bad. I said livestock isn't that bad.
It smells.
Mm-hmm.
It does, but I mean, you grow to love the animals too. So I don't know. Maybe it's just my taste.
You got to make a hamburger out of old Mert,
You don't want to fall in love with them and be like, goodbye, old friend. Next thing you know,
it happens. That's the reason why I don't eat pork anymore. I stopped eating pork a long time ago when our hog got slaughtered named Bubba. I would cry like a baby. Like, no. Why? It hurt my heart.
we had a pig named Oscar, and he was huge. And we would go visit that pig all the time with my grandpa. And all of a sudden we were like, well, we haven't gone to visit Oscar this time. He's like, And so we're eating this bacon. And I was like, where is Oscar? They're like, you're eating him. I was done. It was over. We were crying and chewing the bacon at the same time. Because the bacon was good, right? But I was still crying.
That's what I'm saying. Mert, that was the best hamburger I'd ever eaten. And she was out walking an hour ago. I saw her.
That is so sad, and I don't know what's going on with me as I get older, but it's almost like respect for living things. You see the movie where the man apologizes to the animal, and even in voodoo, when an animal is sacrificed, it literally is taken care of because it's offering itself up for, whatever your ceremony is. And then of course it's not wasted because everybody eats it. So I will tell people, if you are, and I don't even feel I'm going towards veganism or anything like that, but I think if you are, please be appreciative of the things that are going to be coming your way, especially with these animals. I don't know. And maybe Frank can speak on that. I don't know, Frank, do you have animals that you raise for slaughter, or are you on the grid or off the grid?
I am far enough into the grid where the slaughterhouse is the grocery store. Growing up, my grandparents raised chickens, and slaughtering the chickens annually was just a part of things. So for me, it's, it is what it is. You show respect and you don't waste food.
Yeah. I think that goes across a lot of traditions when it comes to animals and things like that. Even I have clients that will buy a cow and they will take care of that cow for the whole year. And, of course, they know it's going to feed 2 or 3 families because they're going to go ahead and take it to slaughter and fill up the freezer for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting.
Angel said, use the barter system with friends who have livestock. That's what I do. And I also raise chickens and ducks and can everything. And she cans wild berries all season. That sounds nice.
Well, Lynna brings food over. Lynna had cabbage, yams. Did you even? No, I didn't get the roast beef. You had. I got cabbage yams, and then you made a corn syrup, and you also made mango salsa
And black eyed peas.
and black eyed peas. And literally, when you open the can, it tastes as fresh as like somebody just cooking it. You literally are heating it up.
Have you tried that cabbage yet?
I tried the cabbage. I haven't eaten the yams, but the cabbage, honestly, it was green for a little bit, then it went gray, and I was a little bit worried about the grayness, but it tastes like cabbage. So I was like, if it didn't kill me, I would be all right, and it didn't kill me.
I'm going to be honest with you now that you've already eaten it. I made that in 2015.
Oh, good Lord.
But you risked your whole life.
Put a little hot sauce on it, it was good to go.
That's why you gotta can your food, because you'll always have food.
But it was 5-year-old cabbage.
But it was green until I took it to her house. I don't know what she did with it.
I was like, well, kimchi is almost like that too. It's
That's
old
right.
cabbage,
Right.
but
You're
it's the best cabbage ever.
Ever. That is some good cabbage. I love kimchi.
Right, I would tear that kimchi up.
I know. I'm like, and then like some grippers.
How many of you have noticed that your diet is changing? Like you're not, purposely taking food away, but you realize that certain things you're not looking at anymore.
You know what? I have. Like a lot of the things I would eat. Like I for instance, I eat a lot less. I want a lot more vegetables. I still drink my wine and stuff. That hasn't changed. But the amount that I eat has changed. And like I eat a lot softer foods, like maybe soups, things like that. But I wasn't trying to take anything away. It just changed. But I hear also, like, if we can like expand on that a little bit, they say, and we've had this discussion, I think, Tanya, you and I think even me and Alyssa, depending on your practice, a lot of people change their diet to enhance their practice and their magic. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, you get some people that get taboos too, where they can no longer do certain things. I mean, Ifa Abeo had alcohol. She can't eat with a fork. What is it? She can't fight. I mean, it's not even just the food. There are certain traditions that spirit comes in and it says you will no longer do this because it is disrespectful, and you practice it.
Right, because my taboo is I can't eat anything with peanuts in it. So that's out the door, which I really didn't really eat anything that had peanut oil or peanut butter or anything like that in the first place. But back then I used to fast a lot. and
So
that
what?
helped with
Go ahead, sorry.
mhm, and that helped with me doing like energy work and things of that nature.
That was my other question. I was in a group, and I just, we're bringing up the topics of things that we've seen happening lately. One lady said, "You cannot have powerful magic if you eat animals. You have to be vegan to have your most powerful and elevated magic." What do you guys think about that?
Did you see me roll my eyes?
I know.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. I mean, you think about it like this. Like some of our ancestors, ate meat, or whatever. Like, and that didn't stop them from being powerful. It didn't stop them from being magical. Yeah, of course, like some people, in some traditions or whatever, they might want you to be a certain way, but that doesn't stop you being from who you are. It doesn't stop you from tapping into your power. My thing is always I look at it as this, and I think maybe because it comes from me having a shamanic background, and we look at the animals to be, one part being sacred, but the other part being an offering or being a blessing, at the same time. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, what you intake, but it matters, how that one thing has passed. If it passed, tragically, we look at it to be traumatic energy that's coming from the animal. That could also, have an effect on us as well. If the animal turned out to be, it was mad, it died of anger, or something like that, yeah, the energy can be transferred to you too. So we just say, you be conscious of where you get your meat from or how it actually passed. If you go to a butcher shop, ask them how it passed. If it was the right way that it passed away, did it live a healthy life? Was it happy in life? Because you want to make sure that that's what was that. And I think maybe that's where that comes from. Well, a lot of people say that your magic won't be as potent because of you eating animal products or whatever. And I think that's where that comes from. But I think it's bullshit, honestly, that you can't elevate because of that now.
I agree. I agree with her 100%. I'm not trying to be Paul and eat no locusts and honey all the time. I grew up in Texas. We got cows. We got deer. We got armadillo chili if we want it. You know, we eat all kinds of things down here.
Armadillo chili. No, I
Hmm.
don't know about no armadillo chili.
But isn't armadillo a hit or miss?
You
Because
know, from
armadillo can,
Louisiana, y'all eating alligator and stuff.
Look, I'm from
Squirrel,
Louisiana, but I don't
possum.
eat all of that stuff. I'm a bougie Louisiana person, okay? So it ain't. I'm not eating no chicken feet. I'm not about to eat no turtle stew. I'm gonna pass on all that. I might eat a little deer here and there. I'm not about to eat no snake. Yeah, you can miss me with all of that. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I
well, I
think
mean,
people. I'm sorry, babe.
I was
Go
like,
ahead.
well, isn't it that armadillo can give you, what is the disease that armadillo gives you if it's not made right? There's a certain disease that armadillo can give you if it's not made right. But I also know people that eat rattlesnake. And one of the girls, she's like, if you get a rattlesnake, make sure to cut the head off and kick it far away from the body because I don't want it to go back and bite itself and then poison the meat. I was like, what?
Hmm.
And
But
we eat sharks down here too. They're nasty, but I
Oh,
mean,
I
people
do
eat
eat
No,
shark.
shark is good, actually.
Shark
I
is
mean,
good.
I feel like it's good. Here's my take on it. Everything has energy.
I don't like fried chicken either, though. But that's me.
Yeah. Everything has energy. Animals have energy, plants have energy. Energy exchange is it could be beneficial to your growth or it could be detrimental to your growth. So I think even for vegans, I have a no goo that likes steaks. I don't particularly eat a lot of red meat, but I find myself on Wednesdays ordering steak from Outback Steakhouse, and that's his day. So sometimes he'll be like, okay, I know you don't want to eat it, but I want to eat it. And that's what we're going to eat. And that's what we eat. So I think the thing about it is people have to get out of this thing of thinking that every practice is going to be for everybody.
Hmm.
Every taboo is going to be against everybody. We are all individual. Your spiritual path is an individual path. I don't even care if you're in a spiritual house. My brother and I made a commitment to a house. As brothers and sisters, we can agree on certain things within the tradition. But when it comes to our spiritual path, I'm not going to go the route he's going. He's not going to go the route I'm going. People have to get over this thing where we got people telling us now, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that because it doesn't go with the spirituality. you can't speak for everyone. It's an individual path. It should be a personal journey. Should absolutely be personal. If you want to eat the meat, eat the meat. If you don't want to eat the meat, don't eat the meat.
I agree. I mean, like somebody mentioned the halal. That's true. Like a lot of people, it's how you kill the animal because the meat, they say, tastes different depending on how you slaughter the animal. And I think, I personally can't give up meat. I mean, and if you told me I had to give up crab, y'all be all out of luck. I'd be like, you know what?
You would do it if you felt it was a part of your spiritual journey. You would do it. Really coming back from Haiti, we had taboos that were uncomfortable, but they weren't undoable.
I don't think you know how much I like crab.
Well,
It's all about your commitment.
Right.
Yeah.
If I have to change, I just feel like if I have to change, it's fine. I don't mind. I was vegan for 5 years, and everybody hated when I went vegan because they like, no, we missed the person that's supposed to be cooking our food. Why are they taking our cook away? And I was like, well, this spirit wanted me to just do it. It was for myself, but it was for the betterment of me because I was having a lot of health issues. Ended up, getting pregnant and had preeclampsia in my earlier trimester. Like it was a mess. And it was like, just you need to go vegan. Like that's gonna help you. It fixed me, and it helped me out. And I got back, working out and stuff like that. I used to be on a mountain, coming down the mountain doing back runs. Like I'm looking like I'm on an episode of Survivor and stuff. But you know what? It actually made me better. And it made me, put myself in a position to actually retrain my mind and put my focus back on track because I got off track for quite some time. Like being in the industry of music and stuff, I really fell off. I really fell away from spirit. So that helped me to get myself back together. I was doing a lot of drinking and stuff, while doing background, and I was around a lot of energy that didn't serve me. So me actually doing that for myself helped me to purify myself. So I felt like those 5 years were like my purification years. Like I don't think I was any more cleaner than I could ever be in life in those 5 years.
Well, that goes back to what Tanya was saying too. Each person is an individual, and you did what was best for you.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think it's the hormones or pesticides that maybe people have a problem with the processing of that?
Oh yeah,
Like cloudy brain fog or whatever.
Yeah, it's heavy in the foods. I noticed definitely a lot when I used to get chicken and stuff, and a lot of those chickens are hormone based. It definitely played a part, and I could definitely tell it played a lot in my life. I could tell when certain things would just not feel right, and I know it was from the food. And then when I would go plant-based, because I only ate chicken, it would be chicken and seafood, like now, and even now, I'm okay with eating seafood, but more so I want to go more so on the vegetarian side. I had problems with carbs and stuff like that. And a lot of carbs will blow you up. The sugars in there, you got to think about the added sugars. Sometimes the yeast and everything. If you think about you got to have a lot of yeast in your body, you eating too much yeast already, so your body is already gonna make more yeast, from the sugars and stuff based off of that, and then it's gonna be playing out in your system. Women, we have a hard time already. You don't want yeast infections because you're only feeding it. You're feeding it with the sugars that you're adding to it. So then you wonder why you can't get away from this when you're having bacterial vaginosis issues, and it's because of the sugars playing a part in your body. I found a lot of healthy ways to make vegan sweets and things like that, and it still tastes like regular sugars, but you're without all the extra additives. You know what I'm saying?
I think when you're on a spiritual path, they mess with your diet. There's certain things that your body just will not process anymore. If they want you to give something up, you will give it up because you just will not be able to eat it. Chaz made a comment about boneless wing cauliflower. Let me tell you what, Chaz made some cauliflower with some buffalo wing sauce. If you close your eyes and squint and turn your head to the left, it could be chicken. It takes a little bit of imagination, but it could be chicken.
Close your eyes, squint, and turn your head to the left.
Yeah, you might have to play with it a little bit. I never understand vegans that buy food that looks like meat. I don't get that. But cauliflower, buffalo cauliflower is good.
What
Another
about
one is oyster mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms can be transformed into a lot of things. You can use it for like seafood. You want to some popcorn shrimp.
I
Use
never even
oyster
heard of oyster
mushrooms.
mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
They're really good.
Hmm.
The best.
so Frank? How about you? Have any of your guides or your deities had you change your diet ever?
Nope.
He said, nope, nope.
Don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I've never had to change my diet either, except not for spiritual reasons, but for age reasons. Yeah, because when you get older, you can't eat some things that you used to eat before.
Yeah, I'm discovering that too.
That is very
Shoot, right.
true.
I was about to say even right now, and I can barely even eat anything right now. My body is like rejecting a lot of stuff. I'm like, why can't I eat anything? What
I
the heck?
cannot do spaghetti. I can't do spaghetti.
I haven't done spaghetti in forever. I think for me, like they're pushing me off of pasta, that I will say. But I feel like maybe my guides are like kind enough to know like we can't let this girl say no crab. Her whole life would probably fall apart. She'll probably have a whole tantrum. But that's my safe food, man. That's my happy food.
I,
But pasta,
I
yeah.
think it's the red sauce. I think it's the red sauce that does me in. Because even with pizza, I order light sauce.
Yeah.
It's acidic. It's acidic. That's why.
Mm.
Let's see. So I have a few questions, but I want you guys to also be open to like bringing up a subject or a question, or like I said, everyone watching us, you guys can feel free to ask questions too. We're here to talk for everyone to know us. So let me see. Or I can bring up the question of like what I'm seeing in groups because I feel like now is the season of love and people are really big once again on these love spells that were like on halt for a while. But I feel like that's something, like Frank, we talk about magical ethics. We talk about when should you do something, why would you do something? And I recently had the situation of someone being upset with me because they were like, we want to curse this individual. And I was like, but is it justified? Is it coming from your ego or is it coming from an actual cause? And they didn't want to hear it. The cards, they even pulled their own cards and the cards said no. But what do you think about that?
That is a very large question that looms whenever you're going to work baneful magic. There are times where, it may be a personal grudge and it's completely justified, but you have to do it from a place of at least relative calm. If for no other reason, you need to think clearly so you know you are taking the best course of action to accomplish the goal you want to accomplish. The best analogy I can give to this is anyone who's practiced any martial art, whether it's Eastern, Western, hand-to-hand, or weapon art. If you're pissed off and you're acting out of rage, you make mistakes and you're going to lose. If you're acting from a place of calm, yes, you still want to accomplish the goal. Yes, it is fine to be passionate about it and driven to accomplish it, but don't do it from a place of rage, because then that's when you make mistakes, and more importantly, you make stupid mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to know why you want to act before you start acting. If you can get through the whole thing and understand, yes, I'm angry about this, but this is still something that needs to be done, then either A, you need to figure out if you can check yourself on that, or B, hand it off to someone else you trust to do the work for you.
Yeah, wait 24 hours to see if you calm down. I would always advise waiting 24 hours. But I think too, as workers and readers, honestly, I wouldn't just do work just because somebody wanted me to do work. I need to do a reading and see if it even is what they say it is. It may be something they may think that somebody's throwing at them, and it's just a random spirit in their house moving shit around. You know, it may not be so you need to have a reading on it before you do any work. You shouldn't just do work.
Right. I definitely agree.
Mm.
I'm not doing anything if it's not justified. If I need to first do a consultation and see what spirit says for me, if I can do it or not. If they say no, it's a no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it.
It
What about
it
you,
also
Church?
depends on the situation. It also depends on the situation. Like say for instance, someone is threatening your reputation or has threatened your family members, then right then and there's your answer. I mean, it's justified whatever you do because that is an attack. People forget that even things that go on online between people, that is a form of psychic attack.
Yeah, but you
That
can
is
protect
in
yourself without being vengeful as well, though.
I mean, I'm like this. I'm gonna pull it out of the root before it gets worse. If you're attacking me online and I'm 400, 500 miles away from you, we're gonna meet up eventually. Somewhere down the line. It always happens. And if you go as far as you're posting stuff, you're saying this, you're saying that, who knows? I mean, I don't put nothing past anyone.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
True.
if
So
you're talking about just posting stuff and like slander, personally, I don't even let that shit bother me. They're not worth my time. I mean, but that's me. I'm not gonna lash out at somebody because I'm not gonna waste my energy on them.
I
I see
always,
it. That's just me. I see it as an attack. I see it as an attack because you never know how far a person go if they slander you online. They could do worse. And there's one thing you must always honor outside of anything else is your own personal reputation. And you got to protect that because if your reputation is ruined, then everything else will follow after.
Right.
So that's just me. But that's just one situation. But if someone is threatening your family member with a weapon, even just to say or to, even subliminally, say that, oh well, you know what, you're gonna die, or I'm gonna make sure you leave this earth. That's not nothing to play with.
A little bit different than just slander, though.
But
well,
he's
I
giving
Yeah,
two
I
different
mean,
scenarios.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
you have to
I'm giving two
understand.
different scenarios.
I think you have to understand work versus things that can be done in the legal system. Now, if you're dealing with somebody that's spiritually attacking you, that's spiritual work. If you're dealing with somebody who's online defamation of character, that's legal work. You can literally work them with magic, but you have to figure out what type of energy you want to use. Because when you look at going to a lawyer, you got to pay for the consultation, you got to pay for the hours, and you got to pay for the letters to be delivered. Some people literally might pick up some roots, a candle, and say that this is how they're going to deal with it. When you're doing work for other people,
You
I
still
never
need to
take
get
it's
reading.
always he said, she said type of situation. And I don't like that. So you always should get divination. Anybody who does work and doesn't divine on a situation, I think is being irresponsible. Because there's always two sides of a story. I've had women come to me and say, oh, he's no good. He did this to me, but blah, 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 this and that. And then I pull the cards and he's married to a completely different woman. So she's a scorned woman. She's a girlfriend who didn't get her way and now she's trying to destroy this man's life. If I did the work that she wanted, I would be in the wrong because the situation that she presented wasn't correct. So I
Yeah.
think as workers, you're accountable. We've seen this in the spiritual community this month. People doing work that they didn't have everything they needed, the information was off, or either they didn't even have the titles or the positions to do the work. So not only did they take people's money, but they gave them subpar work that at some point could have ended up hurting them. People don't understand when you deal with spirit, this is not Harry Potter fantasy on the TV.
Right.
This is literally, you can hurt people. You bury somebody in the graveyard, you could kill them.
Right.
You hang somebody's child from a tree because you're spiteful or you're being petty, you can kill them if you know what you're doing. So we have to understand that when people come to us for work and they think this is hocus pocus, make this man wife leave him, that could be as simple as her divorcing him, or that could be her getting into a car accident and dying. We're responsible for that as workers. I don't
Right.
ever want somebody to come back at me and tell me that I killed their child because I was doing some type of separation work. I don't ever want that. We have a responsibility to know what we're doing and what we're dealing with before you do it. If you're not, you're being irresponsible.
I agree. I agree 100% because I see a lot of that actually going on, even from like the younger people coming in. And what I mean by younger people coming in, I don't mean people like of age. I mean some people who are just starting out as like maybe a year or 2 or 6 months. And the first thing that they're doing coming in is wanting to, hex somebody or learn hexes and how to do that. And then they're attacking people, especially like women who are carrying, and there's been a lot of things going on, whereas some women have like miscarried because someone has done some type of work against them to help them to miscarry a child, which I think is definitely, unfortunate, but also very careless, and saying like you're coming in here with the wrong idea of what you think spirituality is, what you think it's about. This is a lifestyle. And for me, I take that as disrespect, for one, because of, I'm saying, how long I've been in it, but I live it. Like every day I live, I eat, breathe, I sleep, I talk to spirit. Like hell, it's half the time that I can't even go to sleep because I'm up talking to them, because they want me to do something. And if you don't have a connection with your spirits, if you don't have it in your heart to actually understand what it is that we do, or the path that we actually walk, then you don't have any reason to be in spirituality at all. This is not the place for you. You just want to cause more chaos or start more toxic energy twisters, and that's really uncalled for. It's really ridiculous. So I definitely agree with what Tanya was saying, because we have to take more responsibility as workers to, as far as like looking into certain situations even before we do certain things as well.
Yeah, because spirituality, the spiritual life is beautiful.
It is.
It's not all about causing car wrecks and your kids in the back seat, or busting up people and breaking up relationships, and it's not all about trauma and drama.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. I don't even know how to explain the way it makes you feel. I mean, you're just happy, and you feel.
You feel
Well,
better.
that is one aspect of spiritual work. On the other side, there are places where baneful work and protection work is necessary. There are demons,
Right.
there are entities that. So, I mean, we can do love and light, but we have to also understand, and Frank understands this from a point of having to do exorcisms and things like that.
Right.
There are moments where you got to roll up your sleeves and get dirty.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
You know,
It's not all about. You don't come into.
you shouldn't come in just for that, but there are
Right.
what he does exists sometimes because people do that. Exactly what Elisa says. People come in, they start, invoking demons and things in. And if Marcus was here, of course, he would talk a lot more about that. But the thing about it is, you have a lot of people that get a chaos book, and the first thing they do with no class, no mentor, nothing, is they light the candle, they make the sigil, and they call this energy or this entity in. I need you to take care of Lynna for me. She did this, go to her house, do this or whatever. Well, when the work is done, this person doesn't know how to banish. So now we have this entity that's just running out there fucking people up. And then we got to call Frank and be like, Frank, there's something in my house scratching on my door, growling in my ear. And Frank is like, oh, hell. Now I got it. But, it's we have our place. We definitely have our place. Sherwin is a powerful root work. If anybody's ever heard him pray, I swear to God, I think he could call the devil with a prayer. I really do. And he might have. before. But that's the power of a root
Mhm.
worker. That's the power of believing in your faith. But if you understand that there's good, you got to understand on the flip side,
Right.
there's
And
darker
I
workers.
understand that. I'm just saying that that's not the, there's
It's
more to
not the
it than
norm. It's not what everybody aspires.
to curse somebody. You know,
Right.
Well, I think,
Well,
going like I can see both sides because I understand when it's work for ourselves, it comes to us like if I'm like, okay, this person has pushed me to the limit. They now need to be handled. And it could be that they're in the mundane world just harassing the shit out of me and I've tried to handle it mundanely.
Mm-hmm.
It's not working. Then I'm gonna handle my business. But that's for me because in the end, I will take responsibility for my actions for what I'm doing for myself.
Mm-hmm.
When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to doing work
mm,
for someone else, I think a lot of the times when people want a curse done, they come from a place of ego.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be like a guy comes and says, I want to curse my girlfriend because she doesn't want to be with me anymore. And we see this all the time with people who split. I want them to suffer because they don't want to be with me. And it really is like the person was just like, hey, I don't think we're working. And it wasn't anything bad. It could have been an amicable split. It's just the fact that they're in pain. So a lot of people do curses and baneful magic because they're in pain. And instead of taking the time to process it, they often just are very reactionary. And that can make two things. That can make a powerful curse. It can also make a curse that you can't get rid of shit because you don't really know how you did it because you were in the moment with all your feelings. And then you have to go and backtrack and figure out where did it start and how do I fix it from there. Then you have the situation where people curse people, realize that they were reactionary, and then they want to have that person back in their life or they want to try to fix that relationship and it's damaged because of the curse that they've done. So I agree with Lynna as well, giving yourself time to process it. So then you can say, is this really the necessary route that I need to take? But then at the same time, as Sherwin, if you're willing to take responsibility for handling your own business, that's
Mhm.
for you. At the same time as Tanya,
right.
I don't do work for other people without sitting with spirit, divining, getting as many details as possible. And if it's crazy, then even double checking with my tribe, like, this might be a little crazy, this is what I'm getting. Because you want to make sure when you put that energy in there, because once again, we have to be responsible. We're still taking accountability for the spell that we did for that person.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing, when you intercede in work, whether you have the best of intentions or not, it doesn't matter. Spirit is not always that forgiving. If you cross over into something and you get a spirit that literally is like, why are you here? I got a problem with you now. And now I got a problem with your kids and your animals in your house. That's because you interceded in something that maybe you shouldn't have been in, or it was too powerful for you. But this is where the Collegium comes in, because we got to talk education. We got
Mm-hmm.
to talk that, okay, if you want to do these things, let's learn the proper way.
Mhm.
I don't care if you want to curse half of the country. I've seen people do it. I've seen people on CNN sit under a tree and, and curse Donald Trump until they were blue in the face, or Joe Biden, whatever side they were on. My thing is, if you're going to do it, you need to learn the proper way to do it, because it literally can come back on you and cause problems in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You can get some really nasty stuff that comes back
Right.
if you're on the wrong end of it. And that's
Right.
where we come in. Some of us have been there. We've
Right.
made these mistakes already. We
I
already know,
definitely.
I have.
you
Definitely.
know?
I have. I definitely have, which is why
Um,
I work with
we
individual spirits.
we also got to look at not just personal ethics, but also what the people believe spiritually. Because you have people that lean towards more of the threefold law, and then
Mm.
you have people, as we speak of, justified work, and then you have people that just throw caution to the wind and just be throwing spells all willy nilly. So we got to look at that as well, because within Conjure we look at things being justified. In Haitian voodoo, we see the same thing, but at the same time we go a little bit deeper than that because we know that things are in the Loa's hands, whereas in Conjure things are in Spirit's hands as well. But with the Loa, it's different because one Loa will even ask you, "Hey, do you want this to happen? Because I can make it happen." And then they
Or
will leave it
or
in your hands to
you're
deal
gonna
with
sit
it.
your ass down in a corner because they're not gonna let it happen. I've seen it both ways.
R- Right, right. And so then we have a ceremonial magic where they're too busy trying to, become divine to even think about throwing a curse. The first thing is to say, okay, well, how does that fit with your higher self? How does that fit with your holy guardian angel?
Mhm.
Things along that line. And then we have, traditional witchcraft where, is all practically almost like conjure. You curse your oppressor, you do this, you poison your oppressor, you can read it in the Gospel of Aradia. So we also got to look at along those lines and then, teach from there because one person will say, "Oh well, that'll come back onto me threefold." But you know what you teaching, and what you teaching, not even word, has nothing to do with the threefold law. So then that person is going to have to rethink their personal ethics and their spiritual beliefs.
But then there's also people, because a lot of, I just read the comment, what goes around comes around. There are people who are able to transmute energy that's sent back to them. So for some people, what goes around does come around eventually. But they're psychic vampires, like psychic vampires who know, and energy vampires who know that they're psychic energy vampires and they have something reversed back on them. They're really good at being able to transmute that energy and turn it around to what it is that they need. So, I mean, I think when we're teaching, we have to teach all aspects because you're right. Like for me as a
Mm,
practitioner, I don't go by the threefold law. So the threefold law
mm,
has nothing to do with my personal practice.
Right.
I
I,
find it, for me, limiting.
yeah. I also think that another thing that we should bring up too along with this is because you have some people that are afraid to hex somebody, and like I teach my students, I tell them this: look, I'm gonna tell you like this. You're not gonna let somebody come up here and mush you in the face, right? You're not gonna let somebody just come up and punch you. What you gonna do? I know you're not gonna stand there and let somebody just punch you, just continue to beat on you. That's the same thing. If somebody attacks you, you're going to have to attack back. I don't care how much love and light you think there is. And it's not going to be a lot of love and light that's going to be able to take care of what's being thrown at you. You're going to have to learn some type of defensive magic in order to help you. The light is always going to be the bubble that's going to help you.
Mm.
right.
What do you think,
And a
Frank?
lot
Go ahead.
and a lot of people, the thing about that threefold rule is the threefold rule is actually fairly new, and it was actually used to sugar down Wicca so that it would be more acceptable in America when Gerald Gardner and Raymond Buckland was trying to teach people Wicca, but in actuality Gerald Gardner put that in there because in actual witchcraft and traditional witchcraft, of course, it never existed. That's just like the golden rule. That's just another form of the golden rule. It's just they was telling people, hey, we don't do all that dark stuff because we believe that if we do this dark stuff, it'll come back to us threefold. So how about you bring us on in here and we teach y'all what we know.
Yeah.
That's true. I think when people look into getting into a practice, and then we have a ton of practitioners here tonight, um, you need to really work on your grounding. You need to work on your protection, and you need to work on defenses before you move into anything else. You have to have a certain ethics about what your practice is to you. It doesn't mean that it's going to be that way with everybody, but there's certain things I will not do ever, ever. In my book, it's just like those certain things I don't cross the line on. It's not to say that you won't do it. So if I won't do it, I say, she, look, girl, I don't go there, but I know you will. Or Lynna, and Lynna looks sweet, but I can be like, Lynna, look, I got a problem. You know, I might not want to do this, but this might be something that your expertise. Exactly, there I am. Don't be fucking my puppet. But I think that you have to have a foundation, and we talk about this all the time. You cannot skip from A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
In any tradition, you can't go in on one day and be the master on day two. It doesn't work that way. Some people, this is a lifelong study. And we get a lot of people that want to do that fast track microwave magic. You know, that's that 2019 magic. You know, let me throw some glitter in the air and manifest something under the woods and dance naked and let my boobs hit the air and then everything comes. I mean, really, it's almost, I don't want to say it's insulting, but for people who have studied and really put time into it and they know the proper way to do it, I think sometimes it's better to start at the foundation. It's the safest place that you need to start.
I agree.
Yeah.
Is Frank asleep?
No,
Okay.
he's quiet. He's quiet. I think, you know, that's the thing about the Collegium is that we want to teach people the different paths, but we also want them to know from point A to point Z. So when they're done, they know, so to say, the correct way, or at least the starting way, to really take care of what they want to take care of without just jumping in there and not knowing the consequences.
Right.
No.
I
At
think
all.
everybody who's sharing knowledge wants to make sure that their student or whoever they're mentoring has that proper foundation. I don't ever want somebody that I'm teaching to come back to me and go, you didn't tell me this. You didn't prepare me for this, because that's our role. Like I said, a lot of us, we've made the mistakes already. We've done some things. I can sit up here and tell people don't do this because you're not going to get the desired result. And I know this because I did it.
Right.
So, you know, I hope that
Right.
people, if they're coming to the Collegium, are coming in because they want that proper foundation, no matter where you're at. I'm 53. You never stop learning. I can never go to somebody and say, I can't learn from Sherwin. I can't learn from Elisa. I can't learn from Lynna, you, or Frank. I think I would be doing an injustice if I say I know it all. And unfortunately, with some of the people that are practicing right now, they come in with the attitude. I already know it. I read it in the book. I saw it on YouTube. I Googled it.
Right.
You know, Wikipedia told me to do this. And that was before I realized anybody could go in and edit Wikipedia. I was like, oh. So
Yep.
how do you know you're getting proper knowledge?
And there's a witchcraft
Exactly.
Wikipedia too.
Oh yeah, and you can edit that all day long. You can say, you know, throw some glitter and some money, and I mean, literally, you can change things up, and people will follow it, which is really sad because you got people that are hungry for knowledge,
Right.
and we're in a knowledge age where you literally can go to your computer or your phone and look up anything, but is it really the right thing?
Right.
What was the months ago? The poor girl in the bathtub called on Papa Legba. Papa Legba came in there and killed her, and people were saying, "Oh, this happened because of that." And it was like, okay, did y'all research Papa Legba? Do you know anything about Papa Legba? Or do you know anything about the voodoo? What do you know? And people weren't getting past that because they were going off of the horror story of it. So they didn't know,
Right. Right.
but they
Some
learned.
Hollywood bull or Hollywood bull crap, because Hollywood like to glamorize and spruce things up and make it look real good, and people go off of, oh, it was on the movie I seen, and that's what happened, and so I believe it because it was on this movie, and that's bull crap. Like that's not how it is.
I used
Right.
to have a
It's
client
it's
that would
all
call
about
demons into her body, and I was like, "Did you ever see The Exorcist?" Because I remember that was the first movie that really messed with me. Because I was Catholic, and I was like, I knew the priests when they came in with their Bible and that special, the special bag that that was The Exorcist. People coming in to do some work, and for the life of me,
right.
people calling demons into their body is always confusing to me. It's always confusing
Right.
to me because I'm just assuming how's it going to get out? What is it going to do? But now I've educated myself a little bit more where I realize that people do this and they coexist, but it's not my thing. So I don't speak on it because I don't fully understand it. My foundation is not set.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was ever to do it, then that's telling me I need to go with this person. I need to research. I need to study if I chose to go that route. But to just sit in a dark room, light a white candle, and call a demon to come in and live in my body, nah, ain't happening.
Ain't gonna happen.
I mean, I'm pretty sure some people think I
Hey,
already got
Tanya,
a couple
fun
of
fact
demons in
about
me
The
now.
Exorcist.
But I think a lot of
Fun
people.
fact about The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What?
The demon won.
Hold up, Frank. Say it again. You froze.
Did.
According to the teachings in the Roman Catholic Church where exorcism is concerned, technically the demon won in The Exorcist because its goal is to get a priest.
Oh, that would make sense.
So technically Pazuzu won hands down and was tickled to death. Literally.
Interesting.
Well, dang.
I saw The Exorcist once. My sister was cracking up because she's like, "This is so fake! Don't you hear the head click, click, click?" She's like, "All those little screws," and I'm all like, "Ah," traumatized that the head's turning around. And I remember seeing it, and then I saw the one where she spider walked down the stairs backwards, and I called my mom. I was like, "Mommy, I love you so much," and she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I just saw The Exorcist." She's like, "Why would you watch that movie?" I was like, "Well, anyway." If I ever turn my whole head around like that, I was like, feel free to leave me there because I will leave you. I will not. There's nothing. I'm out. I will grab my passport, everything. I'm like, you can have the house, whatever's in it. I'm out, Mom. I was like, no. And then if you chase me down the stairs in a spider walk, I was like, I might burn you with the house. I'm not very sure, but it's not going to be this whole, I'm going to stay because I love you enough. I'm out. I'm definitely gone.
But you have people that practice it and you have demonologists that study. I mean, people have made careers off of this because there's a necessary thing. If you have people that do it the wrong way, you have a person who comes in to correct it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was made that way, because you had certain people that literally were caught up in their practice and probably, not doing things properly, or that we think of. Who knows? Demons are tricky.
But then they have, well, so are Fae. So are the Fae. They're tricky too.
Yeah, them too.
But a lot of people, the demons are not all demons are bad.
True.
It's
No,
like
not all. I mean, you got some badass angels out there too now
exactly. And you
that
have
will do
some
things.
angels that will rip you apart. But I think, you have to have someone, you're correct, that does study that. But I also feel like, kind of going with what you guys said, with how Hollywood places everything, there's a false image of everything that we do. Everyone automatically assumed, for the longest time, voodoo has the devil in it, and voodoo has nothing to do with the devil at all.
Right.
So it's definitely, getting to know the information from people who actually practice that instead of assuming based off of Hollywood, because Hollywood would jack everything up.
Okay.
It really will. And that's not what you want. And they make it seem like, oh, we can go in and this is how it's fixed. And we all know, I mean, Frank goes in and he takes care of, he's the Ghostbuster. He's our local resident Ghostbuster. And, if you watch Hollywood and then you hear how Frank does it, it's two different ways, two completely different ways. And so for me, my goal with the Collegium is so people can get that Hollywood narrative out of their head. They can get the narrative that voodoo has anything to do with the devil or that voodoo in itself is evil. That's got to go. That tarot is evil and all the evil spirits will come out the cards, or witchcraft itself. Oh, we conjure up the devil and everything with witchcraft. We have to kind of, um, and I mean, that narrative has to be changed. And when people get into it in reality, some people are disappointed because they're like, oh, it's not what Hollywood said. And I didn't get to like light the candle with just flicking my, snapping my finger. And it's a lot more work in many cases, because when we're connecting with spirits, when we're connecting with our guides, it's work, it's a responsibility, and it's a whole lifestyle change, like what Alyssa said before. It's definitely a whole lifestyle. It's not a trend when you really step into it. It's a whole lifestyle. So,
Right.
what do you know about the Trinity flame, the threefold flame? Christ refers to it as the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. That is Terry Pfeiffer's question. And anybody have any? I feel like Sherwin does.
You feel like I do?
I do. Do you?
That's up his alley.
I know. Like, do you?
Oh, it's up my alley.
That's power conjure right
I mean,
there.
I mean, if it depends on what flame you're talking about, because we have the violet flame, which is part of Christ consciousness that has to do with ascension, and then you have the three rays that emanated from Christ's heart for compassion. I mean, you have to be more specific when you speak of the Trinity as the three flame, because if we are in the Judeo-Christian era, then we're speaking of basically the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, but the Holy Spirit representing the Shekinah, which is the female emanation of Christ. So
Yeah,
you have to be more specific when,
She said the Christians call it
huh?
the divine flame.
I feel like it depends on your background, though. Is it
It
the Father,
does.
Son, and the Holy Spirit? Is it the maiden, the mother, and the crone? It depends on your background. It depends on who's talking, who you're talking to.
I'm
I'm
waiting.
just here
So
listening.
I know, we're like, but what else? Like, and I'm waiting to see if she says anything else either.
I can't see the question, so I'm just listening off of you guys because my
Yeah,
phone's positioned.
she said no. She said that it's not hitting on what she wants to know. But I will agree with everybody. I think that it could go towards any belief system or tradition. I mean, some people with a Kundalini rising consider that a divine flame. As a Catholic, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit is the Holy Trinity. There's power in it. So how I work it as a Catholic versus a person who's in voodoo could be completely different the way that we look at it. So I'm not sure where her belief system is or exactly what. I think she's asking though our opinion on it.
So I think also because what Frank, we've talked about it, like being a Christian witch, and when you're doing Christian witchcraft, they do, and you guys can correct me because I am not a Christian witch. They have the Holy Trinity, and then you get into where the woman aspect of that it starts getting convoluted. So I think I agree with Sharon. It depends, Sherwin. It depends on what practice you're discussing it in.
Divine flame is always about ascension and any type of tradition. Normally, even with the Trinity, it's
right.
about ascension and communicating with spirit on a level that is higher. So universally, I think everybody could connect with that. But of course, in every tradition, it's going to mean something completely different. So let's see, transmissions to spirit communication. So ascension.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. So then that would be the violet flame. That would be the violet flame that emanated from um what his name is. I see his face. Um Count Saint Germain, the alchemist. So that would be more along the lines of clear prophet practices than anything. Because there are various ascended masters that had to do with various rays. You had the blue flame, which is, I believe, is Serapis Bay. You have the Violet Flame, which is, of course, Count Saint Germain. You have the Orange Flame, which he who emanated that for or that ray. As a matter of fact, I can't remember, but each one has a different ray or different color that corresponds with an ascended master.
So does this balance chakras? Is it something that literally is balancing your chakras when you deal with the ascension of it, or is it? Because I'm
It's
curious too.
basically you're building.
Look at me.
It's
We doing class
basically
now.
it's basically you're supposed to be building a light body, and a light body is created through the Markaba, and
Mm,
the Markaba vehicle is where through the use of various breathing techniques and breathing in that light, you create that light body through the Markaba. The Markaba looks like a multi-layered six-pointed star, and when you create that, that's how you ascend. You It's kind of like how the Buddhists are trying to reach ascension here on earth, how they want to become part of nirvana while, without dying, basically. So you creating that light body to basically become an ascended master.
Hmm.
Child, I wouldn't want that responsibility, okay? Just when I'm gone, don't call on me when I'm gone. I don't even want your offerings because I'm not coming to your altar, okay? I ain't coming.
Yeah, we've already established that when we pass on, Alyssa is not the one to call.
Don't call
Because she's
me
not coming.
because I'm not coming.
As an ancestor, with all her children, she's not coming.
Not coming. Not interested.
she's she's done her dues.
I
She's
did
done
my
her
due
dues.
diligence.
Oh my goodness.
okay, so Terry said, okay, okay, stop. So I don't know if you were giving too much information or
No, no, she's like, oh, it's all broken down now.
okay.
Oh my goodness. And Nika said, isn't it like the will of God, wisdom of God, and love of God?
Yeah, just like that. But the main one is the Violet Flame, which is Count Saint Germain, because that's the flame of alchemy.
Hmm.
And the Violet Flame can be used to visualize, to purify the energy body, to the purify space, to help cut cords, do cord flushing. The Violet Flame can be used to release um, ancestral dead, things of that nature.
Nice. I need to look more into that actually. I did
Right,
not
that's interesting.
I didn't even think about that or even know about it. So I'm like,
Oh, it was a good question.
it
It
was.
really was.
It was. I mean, I had no idea about that at all. So I know we've been on for almost an hour and a half, and I want to thank you guys for joining us. For joining, coming around for the first Black Table Talk. Um, we will do it again, maybe once a month, but we wanted to introduce ourselves, like as the collective, for you guys to come and talk and see what we're about. Does anyone else have anything that they want to say before we wind down?
No, I'm like you. I want to thank everybody for being here, being patient with us, and helping us grow. Questions that came through and all the support is really it's much needed. We thank you, especially right now with everything going on. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your energy and your time.
Mhm.
And join us for our classes. You know where to find us to sign up. If you have questions, you can inbox us. We will definitely answer. So when we go live next year for teaching, we hope to see you guys here to gain all the information that we have, and also, for us to help you grow.
And make
So
sure y'all go to Shishi if y'all have questions, because I don't be knowing. So I'm not even going to answer the wrong stuff. I don't want to tell you nothing out of pocket, nothing wrong. Talk to Shishi. Don't talk to me, because people come to my inbox all the time asking me questions about the Collegium, and I go, I don't know. I don't know. And they go, don't you work? Yeah, but I don't know. Like, talk to Shishi.
okay, inbox, I'll answer. I will be the one to respond. No problem. No problem at all. So, guys, thank you too for taking time out of your schedules to hang out with me. I appreciate it. Um, and well, you guys have a good night. We will see you around the bend. Be blessed.
All right.
Bye.
Y'all have a
Take
good
care,
night.
everyone.
Bye.